In this video and workbook, we're going to talk about your actual day of the performance. What do you need to think about to magnify what's happening on the day at the venue where you're actually at and performing? A lot of time and energy and effort goes into the performance, often on stage, so we know what to do there. But to have a successful overall experience, there are a few things that you can add to the mix to really make your event shine and stand out and make everybody happy. Remember, as a customer, as an audience goer, their experience starts at the minute they decide to come to your event. So even if their commute was horrible or they were greeted badly when they arrived, there were no canapes in the interval, if that is what you're having, or soup or whatever it might be that you're offering, if that's not there and if they're feeling that they are not being welcomed, then they're more likely to not like the performance. On the other hand, if everything goes smoothly, obviously you cannot control the tube or the bus on the way to the actual place that you are performing. But what you can do is to make sure that everything is really welcoming when they arrive. It is easy for them to get tickets, it is easy for them to find their way around, and people are nice and friendly greeting them when they arrive, etc. And this will also enhance the experience of the performance. So look into those things. And how do you do that? First of all, make sure everybody has a running order. So you've got your artistic and creative team and everybody involved with the production. They should have their own event manual from start to finish, not only what's happening on stage, and the stage manager and people involved there might have their own cue lists and stuff, but they should have an overall understanding of what's happening on the day. So you just divide the day into hourly slots and then just describe what's happening. And people should also have contact details and know who is doing what, make sure all the parking permits and catering and all of those things have been sorted prior to coming. And also, if you've got key people at the venue that are actually visiting, just make sure that your people knows their people so that there is an easy way to immediately communicate when you arrive. If you are in a different country than your own, be aware of the fact that they might have different codes of conduct, different protocols or ways of doing things. They might not want to speak to a certain person because they don't have the right title, or it could be something else. So just have that in place for when you arrive on the day. And when you are in charge of the whole event, it might be a tour leader, a project manager, then be sure that you are there on time, early on, to troubleshoot. And this also goes for the other departments as well, even though it's on stage, it's technical, backstage, front of house. Make sure you are there on time. You never know what happens, and there's always something happening on the day. So that's really key, to be there on time. When the artists then arrive and the people in your production, see to it that they know where they're heading. Little gestures like having their names on their dressing rooms, might have coffee and tea backstage, just check with the venue that this is okay, or the festival, and sort out all of these things beforehand, because that will be highly appreciated of the people who are there. Also take time to meet and greet the people at the venue, and take time to meet with the people who are selling your tickets if they've got a box office. If you're going to have a stand, you might want to sell your booklets, your programs, you might have merchandise. Make sure that that is set up in good time as well, and keep it nice and tidy, and so no loose cables or boxes, because that will also affect the overall perception of the event. Test microphones. On stage, you probably already have a routine for this, but all the surrounding areas, I also recommend that if you're going to do something that supports the event itself, it could be a pre-talk or it could be something in the interval, just look into those things and be sure that they are ready for when it's time to go live. As always, when you do these things, it's all about the team. Even though everybody have their own roles and responsibilities, it is really important how you work together as a team. And people will notice that. If you work well together and communicate well together, that energy will create a nice atmosphere for this whole day, even before you start and long after you've gone as well. If you have invited a photographer, take time to walk the person around. And if they are going to take photographs of the audience, make sure you've checked this with the venue beforehand, that you're allowed to do that. It's not always possible, and sometimes it is, but they might want to put up a sign or something telling the audience that there might be photos taken. And also let the photographer know, or videographer, if you've got someone to shoot video, where they can stand, when they can shoot and when not, because it could be very disturbing during a performance if you've got someone walking around with a clicking camera. So this should have been sorted even before, when you sign the contract. But if it wasn't, and you decide on the day that actually it would be so nice to have someone there to document this particular event, just see to it that you've cleared all the restrictions in the venue. Let the photographer and the people know where to walk and where to stand, and when they cannot take photos and record the performance. You also might have journalists coming, people to review the performance, which is great. Make sure that they have all the material they need when they arrive. So you might have a press table with press information, a seating plan and their tickets. The same goes if you've got other people from the industry. It could be sponsors, it could be partners, VIPs, it could be agents, producers, promoters, or people that you might want to showcase your work to, and you want them to hopefully buy that performance or something else from you in the future. So all of these people who are so important to you, just give them the royal treatment on the day, give them great seats, make it easy for them to come in and to sit in a good place, like I said, and also take time to meet up with them and say hello. Often during the day it can be quite intense if you've got many things going on at the same time, but do not forget this on the day. This is a time for you to face people and meet with them and greet with them and thank them for all they've done so far, and to build that rapport, and that will really help you in the future as well. If you've decided to live stream your event, which is increasingly more popular to do, not only will you reach more people all over the world, it's also an extra income stream. Make sure that you've got electricity and Wi-Fi set up and someone to actually help you with these things if it does not work out. Again, if you travel internationally, not all places are festival. It depends also if you're outdoor or indoor. But things like this can be very time consuming, and you might actually have hired someone to come and do all these things, and then suddenly the electricity doesn't work, or they might not have the necessary permits in place to do this. So I would urge you to look into that. The same goes for insurances. If you're supposed to bring a public liability insurance or a PTA tested for instruments, make sure you've got all your documents on the day with you in case someone asks. So after the performance, what do you do then? Apart from the obvious, get away from the stage, get dressed and leave the premises, take some time to just walk around, make sure you've got everything, bring everything with you that you brought with you at the beginning. Also thank people involved, and don't overstay your welcome. Don't stay for too long, because especially if it's in the evening, people might want to go home. But what I recommend you to do is to, on the day, make sure that you've got somewhere for people to go after the performance. So often people say that they want to meet up afterwards, but a place has not been booked. So when they go out, it might be full. And that means that the whole production just ends up having to be divided into subgroups. And that would be such a shame when you've had all this amazing journey together and not to be able to finish it together too. So hopefully you've booked somewhere nice for people to meet up. Doesn't matter what it is or where, if you pay it or if they do, but just think about this when you enter the day, and that people also after the event knows where to go, so that they're not getting lost and they miss out on the party afterwards, if that is what you decide to do.